Oh, yeah.
We're live. Cool.
Hello, internet.
Yeah, we're on the interwebs. Yeah, well, welcome everyone to the Gentleman's Club. We are the men of Costube, or at least most of them. I'm really happy to host this CoCoVid live panel and welcome Jimmy, aka the Welsh Viking, Melchior, aka the Thewastedcoat, Alan from Stiltbeast Studios, Matthew Charmer, and hopefully Dandy Wellington will join later on. Apparently we have some technical difficulties right now. Before we start the proper introduction round, I'd like to note that everyone who's watching is welcome to ask questions. Just put them in the chat box. We will first cover some topics of our own for like 60 to 90 minutes, and then we'll try to answer as many of your questions as we can. Savvy? Cool. Jimmy, please introduce yourself. How did you get into costuming, and what's the fancy attire?
So, hi, I'm Jimmy. I run the Welsh Viking. I got into costuming in 2008 by joining a reenactment society while I was at university. I decided that I wanted to make my own clothes instead of buying clothes. So I tried to learn how to make 17th century men's clothes, realized that I sucked. So I decided to go into Viking instead because their clothes are way easier to make. And the whole thing that I'm wearing is my kind of high class Viking look with my nice brooch and my nice beads and my authentic glass of authentic beer.
Cool. Thank you. And same question for you, Melchior.
Well, I started out as being basically an anime fan when I was a teenager, and I went to conventions, and there I kind of discovered the whole cosplay scene, and I did some cosplay related stuff, and then I met people there who did also fantasy related stuff. So then I started doing also fantasy related stuff, and from there I also got into the historical kind of stuff, because when I started doing the whole fantasy stuff there, through that I met my current girlfriend Nikki, and through that we did have the same interests, so we discovered the historical dance community through that, and that's something we do a lot together now. So it's mostly 19th century related stuff we're doing now, and myself, I still do some science fiction related stuff at the side as my own creative output. So yeah, that's it.
Cool, thank you. Matthew, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I run Matthew Chalmers on YouTube's. I got into costumes through performance. I was performing in theaters for years, and always the best day was trying on all the costumes. And then I got into being a drag queen for a while, and that meant that my 6'5" self had to make things that fit my 6'5" self, because you can't just buy that in the shops. And as I progressed from there and slowly got over that aspect of it, I started watching creators like these guys surrounding me at the moment on YouTube, and went, oh, I probably couldn't do that, but I'll give it a go anyway. So that's how I got here.
Cool, welcome. Well, and Alan from Stiltbeast Studios, how did you get into what you do, and what do you do on your channel?
So I'm a bit of a different animal. I do a lot of monster costumes. I am a haunted house guy. So I started in haunted houses very young. and I just ended up. I was frustrated as an actor because a lot of the masks that were made were meant for parties or just to look good to sell, but they weren't good to wear. So in order for me to act better, I had to be able to see and breathe out of what I was wearing. So I started making my own mask and my own costumes, and then I started selling to other haunted houses, and that's my business now. And my YouTube channel is all about how to make those things and other things that haunted houses might need creative-wise.
Impressive, cool. Well, and right on time, Mr. Dandy Wellington.
Yay.
Welcome to the panel. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what's it all about in your channel?
Well, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
It's cool, yeah.
Yeah. Great, beautiful, beautiful. Trying a new setup, you know, this is the world we live in. We're just trying to innovate and trying to get better and better.
Right.
But my channel is about jazz style and culture. I'm a band leader and performer and producer and style activist here in New York City. And I've always had sort of one foot in the vintage community and one foot in understanding the intersectionality between New York City culture, Black culture, and figuring out how to connect all those things. And so in this moment, I am leaning into it wholeheartedly.
Great, thanks. Well, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm Nicholas, aka Vintage Bursche. I'm originally a data analyst and a metalhead from Germany. I got into LARP when I was 15 years old. Back then, the first Lord of the Rings movie was released, and I was a big fan of Legolas, to be honest. So I started my LARP career as an half-elf. And since there were always no LARP shops, I made almost all of my stuff myself. From that, I got into the more historically inspired LARP. I put together a 14th century Central European knight's armor, then reconstructed my personal interpretation of the Skjoldehamn find. Well, and at the age of 19, I started studying computer science and joined a fraternity, but not like those American ones. A bit different. I learned academic fencing and then, was obliged to wear a suit to all the official occasions. And since the frat was founded in 1876 and the house was built in the 1920s, there were a lot of pictures that really got me into vintage menswear. And this combo of sewing, classic, and vintage menswear style and history is what I'm doing on my channels, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and on my blog. Cool. So we sorted that out. Obviously, every one of us started somewhere. Melchior, do you have any particular tips for someone who's just starting out?
That's well. It really depends on what your goal is. If you're more of a lifestyle person, I would suggest seeking out people who do the same kind of stuff on Instagram and YouTube for advice and inspiration. So, because I remember well back in the days when I started, there was basically nothing available and you had to invent everything yourself. So nowadays it's much easier to find like-minded people online. So social media is basically your best friend into getting the knowledge you need.
Yeah. The cool thing is we all have a very different background, you know, like some of us are like more into LARP, some are rooted in the vintage menswear community. So, well, yeah, Dandy, do you have any particular tips for someone who's just starting out with classic vintage menswear or something like this?
Yeah, I would say that my biggest advice when it comes to getting into menswear, getting into vintage menswear, or any subculture is just do your research. Don't be afraid to really dig in and learn as much as possible. Because Aha, a little bit in New York City, because by learning more, by digging into more inspiration, when you walk into that room and you connect with people, you'll be a little bit more comfortable, right? There's a learning curve for everybody. Everybody is processing things in real time and, getting their outfits better and learning, terminology and all kinds of things at a different rate. And so I would just say inspiration and research, they're just so important. And just make sure that the people that when you walk into a room and you interact with people, read those people. Make sure those people make you feel comfortable. It should be a welcoming community, no matter what we're talking about. Whether we're talking about LARP, whether we're talking about vintage, whether we're talking about other, reenactor, anything. It should be welcoming. You should feel welcome, because these are subcultures, right? These are subcultures that are communities and that blossom into families. So it should really feel connected.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Well, Matthew, you're can I say, quite new to the community. What's your advice for someone who's just starting out?
So my advice would probably be to just start, to just do something, make something out of something, and
Right.
It doesn't have to necessarily be the most historically accurate or the most perfect or the most precise, because you're going to learn.
Yeah.
I think even an experienced seamstress who's never done anything historical would still struggle with making their first garment in the eras that we sort of explore, because it is just a completely separate stream of construction. So I would say sit down at the sewing machine or at your needle and thread and just make something. It doesn't really matter if it's a tails coat or whatever. I think the first thing that I made a masculine corset, and that was obviously biting off a lot, but it turned out great for me. And the best thing is no one can see it because it's underneath all of this, so it's none of your business what it looks like. It just needs to work for me, and it just needed to inspire me to continue on to make something else and something else and something else. And the precision and the accuracy will come with time. I hope it's coming with time for me. So just go. Don't wait. Don't wait around. Just start.
Cool. Yeah. I guess research, a welcoming community, and just start before you're ready. They're really, really great points. Alan, do you have anything to add to this?
Absolutely. I'm right on track with what Matthew was saying. Get started, make something, but more than get started, finish something, because something that you finish is a success, and you put that in your pocket and you build on that success and build on that success. If you have, when you're starting one costume, there's going to be 15 different things that you have to finish. And instead of starting all 15, it's going to be overwhelming. Finish one, and then move on to the next one and finish one. And, do that, of course. Do your research, go make stuff. That's it. Get started and begin that journey. But finish that one thing. When you finish one thing, you can stand on that and what you learned from that to make everything else. If you make all 15 things at the same time, they're all going to be at the same level. But if you make the first part of your costume, you learn things. So the second piece you make is going to be a little bit better. And by the time you hit that 10th and 11th thing, you're going to have, something that this person knew what they were doing. And then you don't have a whole scratch build costume. Then you have, a couple pieces are going to hang out for the long haul and not have to be redone. Redoing things is great. That's part of learning. Yeah,
that's a great point of finishing. And I'd like to add, try to aim for the right level of skill you need. Like, don't aim too low because you don't learn anything. Don't aim too high because it'll be very frustrating because you can't finish it. Just try to improve on every step. Well, Jimmy, I'm sure you have something to add to like advice for someone who's just starting out.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'll have a video later for CoCoVid called How to Get Started in Reenactment. So
Perfect.
I'll just give everything away now, I guess, and nobody has to watch my video. And yeah, that's fine. I can do a video of something else. Yeah, I think Alan's got it spot on. Where you have to finish a couple things first. Like I've had this cloak embroidery that I started like 10 years ago, and I still haven't finished it because I moved on to making a tunic, and then I made a pair of hose, and I decided to make a pair of shoes, and I've got every maker has piles of unfinished projects, and I think that's okay. But at some point, you actually have to finish at least one thing. But in terms of getting started in kind of my particular subculture is reenactment and living history, I would say find the thing that interests you, find the passion, find the thing that really gets you fired up. If it's a period, if it's a type of activity, if it's teaching the public, if it's hanging out with your friends, learning new historical skills, performing historical music, whatever it may be, there is a community out there that is ready to welcome you and will gladly have you. And I think it's so important to find your passion in this, because I'm one of those people, and I'm sure some of you guys are as well, where you can just develop an interest in anything. If somebody brings you something interesting, you'll just go, ooh, cool, and go down a Google hole. But I think finding the passion there, and I think we're all really passionate people, obviously, because we've dedicated our lives to doing this kind of thing, is where it all starts from. So find the yellow brick road amongst all the asphalt that you want to follow. And just, like you guys have already said, just go with it. Research it. Don't worry about being perfect. Just get the hell out there. Do the thing.
I always say finished is better than perfect. Something that is finished is way better than something that's perfect, because it's not done yet. That's why it's not, But yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, just like knowledge in general, our knowledge is never complete, right? We're always learning. So you have to even just applying that to things that you're constructing, it's only logical, right?
Yep. Who knows what you're gonna, every day's a school day, right?
Right. That's it. That's it.
There's a reason my dad used to say that to me all the time. It's because it's true. Like,
and I bet, like as you said in the beginning, like Viking attire is a bit more forgiving when making an error than, for example, sewing a waistcoat, like in 1920s one or something like this.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I kind of did the start small and get finished before getting perfect. Like I said, I tried to start with 17th century. And for anyone watching who doesn't know, that is actual tailoring. That's, shaping clothes and garments to your body and learning about padding and lining and different hems and different seams and all these kinds of things, and shaping the body using the clothes. And I was yesterday years old before I learned another way of doing that if I hadn't known, I wouldn't have made those clothes in the right way, right? What Dandy's wearing right now and what Matthew's wearing right now, I would take months and months and months before I even felt halfway comfortable starting a project like that. But if you want me to make you a Viking tunic, I could knock that out for you tomorrow. But it's all squares, and I've been doing that for 10 years. So it's just what level you're comfortable at, and when you're comfortable moving from that level. Like, I've made suits now, but holy Moses, I'm not a tailor.
Yeah, well, at this point, maybe Matthew, can you explain how you got to making the attire you're wearing? Because I bet it's not your first attempt.
This actually was one of my first attempts.
Wow.
So Sorry to burst your bubble. I decided I wanted to be a little bit of a Mr. Darcy type, and so I started with the undergarments, and I created sort of two of everything. So one that I was like, well, this is my I'm learning, and then immediately after that I go, okay, now I can apply all of those things to just start again and make another one. So I did a corset. I actually ended up doing 3 of those because the second one was a little funny. And then I moved on to the waistcoat that I'm wearing, and I have now done 5 of these or something. And then I moved on to this, the tails coat, which I think the most key thing for me when I was making this and all of my outfit and most of my outfits is I don't pay for material usually. I source it from elsewhere. So this tails coat, my mum thought I was going to be cold in my flat, so she gave me a lovely wool blanket. Thanks, Mom. So this is a blanket from my mother. This is some curtains from the op shop. This garment behind, this was a couch on the side of the road that I sat there and stripped all the fabric off. This was a tablecloth, and this was the hem of a skirt that I had lying around. So having materials that cost me nothing, I had nothing to lose. So I could really just sit there and go, well, if it doesn't work, I've not lost anything. I've just gained knowledge. So that's way
so cool.
I can keep moving through garments really quickly, because I care a lot, but I don't care. If that doesn't turn out, that's none of my business. You're the ones who have to deal with it. You're the ones who have to look at it. I don't. It's fine. So, yeah. When I started, and that's the other thing is, I do have quite a good brain for shapes, I think. So if you look at lots of images online, or if you can get your hands on an actual authentic garment, even the smallest one, you can sort of deconstruct it in your mind, put the shapes on the fabric, cut it out, rip it all together really quickly, and then you can see if it works or not. So go down the op shop, get a $5 piece of fabric or some curtains. Curtains are great. They're really sturdy, and they do what you want quite well. And just rip it together, and if it doesn't turn out, you've not lost anything. So just sew it. See, and it might turn out right. This turned out great. Some things didn't.
Wow. Hearing that, it's so inspiring, because I've never tailored anything. I've never, made anything in that sort of really kinesthetic way, right? So thinking about it you don't have to go to first of all, you don't have to necessarily know what fabric you want. You don't even have to go through that process, right? What you can do is just try. Just go and try. And, work with what you have, work with what you can find. I mean, that's like the most punk rock thing ever said, ever, right? And a lot of people don't really know what that is, but there's that essence of punk rock happening all over the place, where people are just you find it, use it, build with it, see what happens, learn, repeat. So good. That's so inspiring, man.
And it's so much better for the environment too than using some cheap polyester fabric.
Yeah, yes,
that's what I'm saying.
That's it.
Yeah. So then I watched a video where you got through your wardrobe. So this also probably took you years to build, right?
Yeah. I mean, my wardrobe is very much an amalgamation of a lot of things. It's everything from modern menswear to vintage pieces. So, I mean, I'm really running from Gilded Age to modern. as far as what is in my wardrobe, and custom pieces that build on silhouettes of a particular era, but then they sort of do their own thing, whether it be because of fabric or pattern or just a cut that I particularly like. So yeah, it's taken a long time, but I was actually telling people in my class yesterday that when I started, one of the reasons why I think I'm pretty good with color and pattern is because I think just mentally I see them, but also when I started, I didn't start with suits. You know what I mean? I like hardly ever had full suits. I was utilizing pieces, separates, always figuring out how to make an outfit with separate pieces, and sometimes from different eras. And so figuring out what the through line is as far as silhouette, as far as cut, as far as fabric, as far as weight, hue, all these different things, sort of thinking on my feet with these different pieces that I might pick up or find or even be looking at, really helped me develop that. And so, yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, I think I started collecting vintage actively 2010, 10 years ago. And but I've always been surrounded by elements of it, right? And so it's easier when you've grown up with, you know, Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and Sammy Davis Jr. around to like look at things, and there's a recognition there, right? It's almost sense memory, right? It's in your soul already. But yeah, it takes a while. So you got to be patient.
Yeah, that's cool because I guess Matthew's approach on salvaging couches and the thing that you just find separate pieces and need to figure out how to combine them. This is probably the textbook definition of making a virtue out of a necessity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It takes time, and you've got to be patient and don't judge it. I mean, that is the biggest thing that you can control, is not judging yourself in the midst of that process. Because yeah, lots of people are going to have their own opinions and they're going to say what they want, or they may not say anything and they're just going to give you that look like, but what are you going to do? Don't worry about them. Certainly don't judge yourself. Just go on that journey.
Which is a great bridge to another topic we wanted to talk about, which is dealing with toxicity and gatekeeping in costuming communities. You already said this, like judgmental types. Yeah, you have them everywhere. It's a bit sad, but you know you can overcome those. Yeah, well, any tips on especially newcomers, how to overcome those gatekeepers and people that look down on you because you don't start with a perfect kit or something like this?
I think one of the tricks to it, as far as my community, is when you run into a gatekeeper, just remind yourself that there's no fence. There's nothing that they're gatekeeping you from. You don't put any power in their opinion. You just go right around them and get to other sources. I guarantee you the person who is standing on their pile of things and ideas, they're standing on it, so they can't grow that pile to get any smarter and higher. They're holding themselves down by trying to hang on to everything that they've got. What I have found in my business, I come from a haunted house background. In the 80s, a haunted house would not let another actor into their haunted house. They were afraid they would steal their ideas. Right. As soon as the internet came around and all the actors started talking to each other, and the owners were a little bit out of it, the actors, in my opinion, kind of dragged the owners, into modern day in that thinking. And now it's all online. Every now and then you have a scientific advantage, like silicone masks. I was teaching people how to make silicone masks 8-9 years ago. And the people who kind of really started that process were very upset that I was showing other people. But I have found I learn better through teaching. But also, if I teach someone how to do it, and that person happens to be a plumber, then he is going to know techniques, tricks, and materials that I've never seen or had access to. And so if I teach 10 people, they're going to come back and give me 10 tips, and I'm going to get 10 times better.
That's right.
So there's no point in gatekeeping yourself. If you were treated that way, disassociate from that behavior, and just go around them. There's not a fence for them to gatekeep, in my opinion.
Yeah, growing as a community,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And I mean, they can't gatekeep from the knowledge, especially if we're talking about history, right? And historical dress and being inspired by that, or even just the history of haunted houses in this country, in other countries, right? There's so much knowledge out there, and nobody can gatekeep that, because most of it is just public knowledge. It's just up to you to go and search for it.
Yeah.
One of the things I've been really trying hard to do is get stuff that is normally locked up in the ivory tower of academics out to people who can actually use it. And there was a conference organized, I think it was last year or the year before now. I lose track of time because COVID. Who knows? I don't. Do you? No. But one of the things that they did was they had academics speaking there, so lecture professors from universities. They had interpreters from historical palaces and historic houses. They had reenactors like me there, and they were all talking about historical dress. And one of the things that blew my mind was that an awful lot of these academics had no idea that people cared about what they were saying. It was just this attitude that they had was just, why does anybody care about the way the Vikings made their clothes? Who would have a use for that outside of research? And I just thought, well, me and the 600 people that are in my reenactment group. And it's weird that this gatekeeping attitude of, well, there is secret knowledge and you must be good enough to have access to it, kind of goes with this weird attitude of like, there is this secret knowledge that nobody cares about. You don't want to go on a quest to unlock this. And it's just all garbage. Like, there's no fence, but also there's all of these people stood in front of the gate that you're guarding going, I would kind of like some of that. And we'll give you stuff as well. Like, we're not stealing your knowledge. We're spreading, like you said, we're spreading the knowledge out. And that's how you get more knowledge and more people interested. So it can only be a win-win. But there's still this really baffling attitude from both those sides of like, we don't want to, I don't want you to steal my prosthetics knowledge. But also this guy doesn't think that anybody cares about his prosthetics knowledge, so he's not going to bother putting it on the internet. But
right,
it's just so mystifying.
I'd like to add something to that. In my experience, often with gatekeeping or people who look down on other people for whatever reason, often they take themselves too seriously, and those people take the fun out of everything. And in all the activities we are doing, it doesn't matter what kind of activity, fun is one of the main things why we do this. So those people take all the fun out of it. So you just, go with a, in a big circle around them and just, leave them in their corner. We're going to have our fun, and you're going to just sit there in your corner being sad. And we are going to be here, and we're going to have fun and, do our thing. So that's one of my personal mantras, I guess. Don't take yourself too seriously, or your interests or your hobbies, because fun is to be had.
We're gonna dress up in clothes and listen to jazz and go to haunted houses and talk to each other. You guys just sit over there and monochrome, whatever. I don't know.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Let's do it.
I really have to say, because of this like classic menswear, metalhead, whatever stuff I've been into, the costuming community was by far the most welcoming, to be honest. Because, for example, in classic menswear, I went to Florence a couple of times to PT Uomo, like this menswear fair. It's quite different. It's first, it's almost all male, and it's not the typical gatekeeping, but like it's really hard to find someone to have a non-shallow conversation with.
Yeah, of course. Because
everyone's so narcissistic and centered to their own goals. It's really hard to really, again, find someone who you can have a proper conversation with. So
I gotta watch your video on that. Because I feel like, because you did do a video on that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Because I've not been to Pity, and I know from Fashion Week in New York, everyone who's having a conversation with you is sort of turned out to any photographer who might wander through their path. And I mean, I get it. In that situation, there's an element of being there to be seen, but also you would also hope that the people who are there because they're nerds about the thing. And so they want to talk, right? They want to, trade secrets and geek out on patterns and fabrics and whatnot, Yeah.
So it is. In this video, I interviewed Henry Kjell. I don't know if you know him, the butler. He's wearing a cape in the video, like a black cape. And in the comment section, it's a total divide between people, including me, who love the cape. I wouldn't wear it myself. And people who say, well, like, he's dressing up as a clown. And I think, why do you judge him? He's rocking the cape. He's like 70 years old and he's rocking that Spanish capa.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't understand the negativity.
He was having fun.
Yes, he was having fun. Yes, that's exactly it. As you said, he went to an activity and he wanted to have fun. So let him have his fun.
I'm down with capes. Capes are good.
Yes. I love it.
This isn't fun. I'm having a whale of a time.
Yeah. Capes make everything better.
Right.
I also think there's certain pieces of costuming that are empowering. Like anytime I put on leather bracers, I get a foot taller and I could fight 10 guys, That's in the brain, I don't. But there's certain costume pieces that are empowering. And whatever a person wants to put in their personal wardrobe to empower themselves, great, do it, by all means, because that's going to inspire others.
Yeah, but seriously, wear a cape or a long coat, walk as fast as you can. You feel like a superhero.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
If you manage to hold it on either side and walk like this as well, really, takes it to the next level.
But, in all honesty, I know we're laughing about it, but if you felt like a superhero for 5 hours more in your life, how much better would your life be?
Preach.
How much better would your life be? So do those things that empower you in your costume, in your personal wardrobe. Do those things.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I feel like if you're into some of the things that we're into, there is probably an element where, you might not always have fit in to whatever community you were in. So just lean into it. Just lean in. Like at this point, you're on a journey of like self-reflection and basking in community and enjoying all those things. So yeah, if like people feel really, really empowered when they hold canes, right? There's this other physical thing that they're walking with, gloves, right? It's just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. If you suddenly feel like, if you wear like a nicely tailored suit or something that you've made that you're super proud of for the first time, and you walk outside and all of a sudden you feel like, you know, maybe you felt like people are looking at you askance for years, and suddenly you feel like people are like digging what you're wearing for the first time. You just like, you suddenly feel like 10 feet taller. It's such a good feeling. And if there's what I feel like it's one of those things where if you could go back and tell your teenage self something, I would just tell him, like, keep wearing the waistcoats, keep wearing a tie to school, like keep watching Queer Eye and listening to everything that Carson says, because it's going to come back in 10 years and it's going to pay so many dividends. Like, just be you. Love that. Love what you are and what makes you feel good about yourself.
Maybe we have some more tips on building the confidence to wear something like this. I know we already had a panel today, I guess, about confidence, but maybe we have some additional insights. I don't know how to build the confidence to wear something like a cape, or I don't know, fancy stuff in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit tough.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, like okay, I just want to know about the confidence to wear that cape, because I have not yet gotten to the point where I have the confidence to wear a cape. I want to wear a cape. I love capes. I love a high collar cape too, one that just goes, ooh.
Ooh.
I want to know.
I love that. So yeah, I mean, so my subgenre is reenactment. So for 10, 12 years now, I'm used to looking like this. Like, I'm used to this being my silhouette.
Right.
Like, this is me. If I'm stood in front of a couple of hundred people wearing this, I'm doing what I love. That's how I spend my weekends. It's what I love it. So a lot of the time, and this is it's not so much the confidence thing for me, really. So I don't know how useful I am, but it's just grown from, well, this is what I wear at the weekends. This is what I wear with my closest friends, and my buddies wear the same style of stuff.
Right.
So that becomes my normal. And it eventually became, you know, I'm going to drive 2 hours down the road, 3, 4, 5 hours down the road. I'm just going to get changed into this for the weekend. So I'm just going to drive in this. And then that became, well, I'm going to need a pee break at some point. So I'm going to have to go into a petrol station and like a motorway services in this.
Right.
So that transformed into like, well, you know what? The heck with it. I'm okay wearing this now. Like I went to a takeout wearing this, and didn't realize I was wearing something weird until people point it out to you. And it just, it's kind of making it your normal. It's making it okay for you. Other people, like, you know, you say you can't imagine having the confidence to wear this. Anytime I wear, you know, if I were to wear a cobalt blue blazer with a bow tie and a boater outside, I'd feel like I looked completely weird. I'd feel so self-conscious every second, every yard walking down the street. But looking at you, I think, holy hell, this guy is incredible. He looks wonderful. But it's, I guess I would say, just make it your normal. Make it you.
Right.
You.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess you're
so many weirder things than what we're all wearing right now, you know?
Yeah.
I guess your friends are the important point, because it's easier when you have like a whole shield wall of friends wearing similar stuff to get getting used to the stuff. And then when inside your bubble, your community, you've gotten used to the dresses, it's much easier to take it outside, you know?
Yeah, that's because if I always notice that, because I know Nikki is very self-conscious when we're out in public, going to an event in costume. If we're in a group, you have group safety, and then everybody is like, oh, they're going to something, whatever. And then it's okay. But if you just, you know, with the two of us or just single, then you get looks. And I think it's important to know that, oh, you'll probably see them just once, and then they think about you a bit, and then it's gone. You know, you're probably thinking longer about them than they are thinking about you. So
I I actually think it's kind of the opposite, and that's why it's awesome. I think they're going to remember you stopping in the Quickie Mart for weeks, and they're going to say, "Hey, remember that guy in the Viking costume who came in Quickie Mart? That was crazy." But you made their life better. You made them more fun at parties because they can talk about you. You know,
you're always positive to people. You're always positive.
I'm in the situation where I go to 3 to 5 haunted house trade shows a year. I may be the only guy there not wearing a black T-shirt. And it's even on that level, to me, it's depressing to open a drawer full of black T-shirts. But every haunted house company wants to give you a T-shirt, or you get T-shirt, and they're all black. I try very hard to just color. I have a lot of like Hawaiian shirts that I wear that are all Halloween themed Hawaiian shirts.
Cool.
So good.
I think I'm scared to blend in. It's not about having the confidence to stand out. I'm afraid I'll blend in. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. I want to be a salad, not a stew,
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Hashtag vegan, hashtag vegan.
I'm allowed to be vegan.
But it is a serious thing, though, right? Because like I know a lot of people, certainly in reenactment, but I personally suffer with issues with depression and self-confidence and self-esteem all the time. And it is something that you worry about is, well, if I just become normal, do I lose who I am? Like if I'm just another guy in a black T-shirt, does that mean I lose a little bit of who I am? Like if I stop being Jimmy who dresses as a Viking, do I lose an aspect of myself? But I think a really important aspect of this, I think, is we're all guys talking about this as like a way for us to make this us. But for a lot of the women out there, an additional problem with doing this kind of thing is people will touch women wearing strange clothing out on the street unbidden, make really inappropriate comments, and that's just another whole barrier to them being themselves.
Yeah, across the board. I mean, people have this thing, especially when you're doing something different than the norm. They sort of walk up to you and they're like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "No. What are you? We don't touch. Yeah. Conversation. If you have a question, let's ask."
There's an art to changing that energy when that, because they're curious. You're different from them, and they're depending on you, and you have to change their energy some way. Is it a phrase? Is it how you change, do something with your face? I mean, what do you do to change that energy of them as they're coming at you?
Right.
In the house world, an actor inside the show, the guests don't even think that they're people anymore. Because at that point, they're characters, they're monsters, they're whatever, and they get touched and they get hit. And it's all about changing the energy that's coming at you and having a way to transfer it. And whatever is in you has to change what's in them.
Yeah.
Now, and of course, if you talk about an assault situation, that's completely different. But just that general day-to-day energy, I think that if we harness the power, we have the power to change a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh. I know a lot of people that deal with that, and that ends up being one of the reasons why they get discouraged. Like, even if we're talking about gatekeeping, sometimes it's not the people in the community, right? Sometimes it's the rest of the world. Being from New York, we don't have the luxury of just jumping into our car and we're closed off from the world. It's like, if you wear whatever you're wearing, you're getting on the subway, you're getting, you're walking through New York. And though there is some truth to the myth that like in New York, everyone's kind of a freak. And so whatever, nobody would notice. People notice, and people often have something to say. And yeah, that for a lot of people, that can sort of grind down your resolve to be yourself.
Yeah.
So that what you're saying is super important, Alan, is trying to find those tactics, find the power, right, to defuse these situations, but at the same time, remain in control for yourself.
Yeah.
Our world is so dull that as soon as you're in costume, you're on stage. Yeah. And you have drawn them to you. and then you have to know what to do with them once you've done that. And that's kind of the hard part. And I'm sorry if I cut you off before.
What I wanted to say is I get what Dandy is saying. Here in the Netherlands, we have a phrase, and it's doing normal is crazy enough, and that is this whole culture thing that if you know that it's bad to stand out, which is just nuts because it's basically suppressing being who you are. So that, in my opinion, that's sort of toxic, I guess. But that cultural things may suppress your ability to wanting to express yourself, and that might be a big hurdle for some people to overcome. So that takes courage.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to face up against. It's hard to face. Like it's incredibly brave to face any kind of that sort of suppression of yourself, right? It's so tough. I think it's why having things like communities of people is so important. Like all of, if you're in the drag community, you have a great community of people. I would hope that would be willing to help out with that kind of stuff. We've had those kinds of experiences. If you're an actor, obviously other actors would be like, don't worry about it, darling. It happens to the rest of us. They don't know how lucky they are. And like reenactors are like, whoa, I'll smash him in the face with my sword next time I see him. Like, if you have an outlet and you have a community, they're two really important things that can help you get through that. So yeah, I think it's so important to have people that even if it's somebody on Instagram or YouTube that you respect and they post things like that you take courage from. It's so important to have like-minded people who are nice, like us, because we're all nice.
And who like to have fun.
Yes.
Preferably in capes, but no capes is fine too. Okay, I'd suggest we move on to the next question or topic. But before, I want to note again that everyone who's watching can post questions. And I already saw a question at the beginning where someone asked if Jimmy wants to share his beer, but I bet it's a no.
I mean, I would, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's a bummer.
I'll brew some more. I do have a plan to do a Viking beer video at some point, so that'll be a few months. If I have them, I'll share it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But again, everyone who's watching, just ask away, and we'll get to the questions in the end. Our next topic would be: how is your partner, as far as you have one, involved with your costuming passion? Do you share the same interest? Does it make costuming easier or more difficult, or something like this? Matthew, you already said about something about Nikki in the beginning. Maybe you can start elaborating the topic and tell us what's your experience with that, having a partner in crime.
Partner in crime. Yeah, for me, it's wait. I can show where I'm sitting. Wait. This probably explains everything.
You're sitting in the wardrobe.
Yeah, that's a partner. That's a partner in crime right there. That's a partner in crime.
So yeah, like I said in my introduction, we've met through costuming, and basically we still she does her thing and I do also my thing next to it. So that's, I think, having a partner who has the same interests, it definitely helps. And even if your partner isn't having the same interest, but at least being supportive, that would help. Because
yeah, I guess so. Alan, what about you?
I have an awesome wife. And I'm kind of in a situation where this is my business. This is what I do for a living. I make monsters for people who need monsters. And my wife is strong where I am weak in like organization and those kind of things. This year, I never had a website really before this year. I didn't have a good one. But because all of the conventions were canceled, my wife really stepped up to the plate and she got my website in order. I mean, so she's a lot of the organization and business that my business needs. I provide the creative energy until I fall over, and then she keeps me alive. That's what she says that she does, that she keeps me alive. Because, I'll work till 4 a.m. on something and then, get up at, 8 or whatever and keep going. She reminds me to eat. But it's, as far as I'm consumed by my creativity sometimes, and she is a wonderful tie to the real world, which keeps me relevant, number one, or else I could like drift off into monster land and be that weird guy. But I have to be the weird guy who sells stuff to people. So keeping me anchored in many ways is excellent. She stays on me for social media. Hey, you got to respond to this person. You got to respond to this person. And I have different brains but I have a sculpting brain right now. I don't want to use my typing brain. And it's difficult, but having a partner makes my world easier. And I think in some way the world is meant to be shared.
Okay, then do you?
Yeah, I have a partner who has been dressing in vintage longer than I have. I mean,
wow.
she's been wearing, she's just a little bit younger than I am, but she's been wearing vintage since she was like 14 or even earlier than that.
Wow.
So yeah, so like I came to the party and I was like, oh, that's what it's like when you've been collecting for like 30 something years. Nice. Okay. Yeah, she definitely out wardrobes me in so many ways. And again, the knowledge is there. Alan, what you're talking about with your partner helping you to balance, right? And sort of having assets and having things that maybe you don't have as well. She has so much like book knowledge that I don't have. And of course, having collected vintage for so many years, she also has been collecting books for so many years on different things. I mean, recently there was a book that Marlene Dietrich, I think she wrote it. She wrote many books, I think I'm gonna get eviscerated in the comment section, but either way, it was just a book of tips, things where she's like, here's my recipe for steak. And it's like, what is this magic? Like, incredible. And then there's this other book that she just gave to me called like the Tailor's Art. And it's just historical images, like from, and what is this pamphlet? Like, what is this pamphlet? Where did she find this pamphlet? So yeah. So it's great to have a partner that can continue to educate you on things that you love, right? You can share that.
Thanks for sharing. Matthew, what about you?
He's just like a live action mannequin, right? Like, can you wear this while I do this? Can you wear this while I do this? Thank you. Oh, can you do this? Yeah, cool, great. No, he's great. He lives in a different era, just like myself. We're just in different eras to each other as well. So he'll make like a clock from the 50s, 60s, 70s inspired, or a table, and then I'll come out and I'll be like, I made a 1770s coat today. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I found light bulbs from the 80s. I'm like, lovely. So it's sort of this like well-rounded balance of like, oh, I have no idea what you're doing, but I'm very interested. Like, I don't understand. And now I have a lovely thing for my wall. So thank you for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think a live mannequin is very useful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, oh, I need to do sleeves, but it keeps falling off my mannequin. I guess I'll just have to put it on someone else. Just tell me if I stab you with the needle. Oh, I did? Okay. Tell me if I stab you again.
I could just see you like staring off into the distance, just like, just let it happen. Just let it happen.
It's free acupuncture. Get over it.
Don't fight. Don't fight. What are you sewing?
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, I'm also practicing my surgical skills.
You're right. I love it. Just mumbles like suture, and you're like, "What do you mean suture? What do you mean suture?"
Yeah, suit. Tour?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Hashtag suture. It's suit. Is it suit couture or is it medical?
Well, why not both? I'm sure Alan would agree with decorating with blood.
Yes. I love it. So good.
Okay, finally, Jimmy.
Darling, what are you sewing right now?
1510 sleeves.
1510 sleeves. There's your answer. So I happen to be I'm incredibly lucky that I'm engaged to somebody who is a qualified costumer and is doing a PhD on medieval costume and can use a sewing machine and has worked in film and theatre costume and she is curling up into a little ball right now, who can make patterns and read patterns and understands how to put clothes together. And when I met her, I could sew a thing, maybe. I've tripled, quadrupled my knowledge from just how much she has taught me. But equally, like, obviously, we consider ourselves a reenacting power couple, but also if I'm having a super stressful day, or she's having a super stressful day, we have to be able to provide that balance to each other as well. So I think, like Alan was saying, sometimes I'm stuck in, like, you know, I can't find the pommel for this sword that I want, brain. And she'll be like, you need to eat. You need to bathe more than you need to eat, but you need to eat. Like, she'll be like making sure I take my medication and like, you drunk half a pint of water today. Please don't die. Like, I feel like costume people are difficult partners, but if you're both costume people,
there you go.
It's fine until you're both. Like, I remember we went to Venice for the carnival in February, and were we both sewing on the plane? We were both sewing on the plane on the way there, and I was like, I need a pocket flap in my shuddering hands, and she was like pinning me into my suit before we went to take photos. And I was like making sure that her skirt was okay, and it just complimentary people are so nice. And I love you, and thank you for suffering the part.
I love that too. I need to find the pommel. I'm sorry. I just
at 3 a.m. like, it's here somewhere.
I think there's a note to be made that if you want to find someone interested in you, then be more you, and you're more likely to find this person.
Yeah.
It's circles back to that confidence and being willing to be yourself and stand out and be willing to do that. The more you are, the more likely you are to find someone who really likes you.
Yep. Yep.
Alan, where is your podcast, man? Where is it?
Dude, it's just that you, that's all it is.
I just want you to make me feel better when I'm walking to work.
I'm just curious how Jimmy smuggled the needles and probably scissors on a plane, but
I think they just saw me and were like, he's a stressed out costume and he needs to get on the plane.
Ah.
What do you think they are, security man?
Yeah, we've had situations traveling where she has hat pins in her hair or something, and like they show up on the X-ray, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna have to take these. She's like, well, but they're okay. Just take it. It's fine. It's fine.
That's not okay.
Just thinking about all the travel, like all the things that we travel with. I mean, I will say, getting through airport security dressed like this, it's a breeze. It's a freaking breeze. Like,
Good to know.
Oh, let me tell you, man. I mean, because I dress like this 24/7. I always dress like this. So, not while sleeping. Sorry, that's weird. That was weird. But yeah, I dress like this all the time.
I'm ready.
I am ready.
Cape.
Cape.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you if you dress the you that you are in situations like that, especially airport security, they'll leave you alone. They'll leave you alone. Yeah. Hot take.
Just buy one really outlandish vintage outfit and only wear that to the airport.
Whenever I go to the airport, I wear a Bob Ross t-shirt because my wife says that I have resting fierce face. I look a little bit pissed off all the time, especially when I have to get up early to travel. So my, slight scowl and beard, I'm a big guy. I balance that with a Bob Ross, who everybody knows the face on my shirt. And then it just goes much smoother, less people flee. It's good. Bob Ross.
I love it. They look at you and like, oh no, what's going on? Oh, a happy little cloud. Okay, good. So good. That's so good, man.
Genius.
Cool. I suggest we come to our final topic before answering live questions, which is, does costuming affect your lifestyle? Is it your job or a side hustle? Alan already mentioned something like this. Or is it just like a spare time activity? Have you learned something from costuming that helped you as a person? So Alan, maybe you want to start because you already said it's your job right now.
It is my job, it is my side hustle, and it is my spare time activity.
That's the best.
My 40-hour-a-week day job is I'm the director of a year-round haunted house in Plano, Texas. So I'm the director of the haunt. So in that, we do a lot of different shows. So I get to help design characters. I get, that's my day job. I'm figuring out the sets, and then when I come home, friend of mine posted a quote a while ago: 9 to 5 pays the bills, 6 to midnight builds the empire. So when I come home, that's when I'm doing my, I make costumes and masks for other haunted houses all over the country, even all over the world. So that's what I do. And I actually had to start fishing so that I had something that wasn't work in my life. I'm going to go fishing. Because when I'm fishing, I only think fishing thoughts, and it's wonderful. Like it's almost like I slept when I came back because I'm looking at everything fresh. But yeah, it's all of those. It's my business, it's my job, and I really enjoy it. So it's also my spare time activity.
Right.
Cool.
Love that.
Well, Danny, you're a jazz singer, so it's apparently also your job.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I will say that during this pandemic, I've pulled more all-nighters than I have in years. Because, because it's like I'm not going to a show and performing at the show, and then I get to sort of focus on a certain type of process. So yeah, it is definitely my 24/7 work, 365. Has been for 10 years. And yeah, it's I will say that I think I need a side hustle, right? Sort of. I need to go, what more can I learn, or have those at least have those moments where you stop learning for a project, because that's what ends up happening with me, is like I'm learning for a project, or I'm almost this has been a whole 3 months of innovation, buying new gear and figuring out how to set things up. I mean, like, I'm using a Canon T3 that I bought in 2011 as a webcam. Hashtag never throw anything out ever. Like, so yeah, it's definitely a 24-hour thing for me all the time.
Cool. That's what you can call a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Definitely.
So Jimmy, you're like a scientist, right?
Oh, hell to the max, no. Like, if you need a cure for cancer, find someone else. I will hurt you if you need me to. Like, don't laugh. Why are you laughing? Laugh off screen? How dare you? I'm in class. No. So this has kind of fluctuated. By training, I'm an archaeologist and a performer. So I've made my money over the last 10 years by either acting, voice acting, writing as a journalist. I did reenacting as a full-time job. I went into schools, elementary, primary schools, as we call them over here, and I taught kids history dressed like this. That's an ambulance. And that was my job. That was my 40 hours a week. Was I dressed as a Viking. I would drive to a school wearing chainmail. I would go home wearing chainmail. I'd wake up at 6 a.m. I would put my sword on. I've got I've got chainmail through there. I didn't make it. Insane.
No, sleeping in chainmail.
Oh, I didn't. I did occasionally have a nap in the chainmail, maybe. But it's kind of it's become a really kind of absorbing hobby over the last few years. Is what it's been. Like, I started doing this because it was my hobby and I enjoyed it. It became my job. I didn't lose my passion for it. I still enjoy doing it. I do it on YouTube now. That's becoming something that takes up more and more of my time, and I love it. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, and I have the luxury of all my learning not necessarily being learning for a project when it comes to historical costuming, because it is my hobby. It's my life passion. Aside from my career stuff, like performing and the academic research. So every project builds up as a part of my reenactment whole, WHOLE. And it affects me, obviously. Like, I met my fiance at a reenactment event. We sew together. We go to cool events together. Like, it's become a huge part of my life, and it's wonderful. And it's introduced me to literally hundreds of new friends. Like, I met Melchior at a costumed event in England, and Nikki. We all met at an 1830s event because Nikki. And that led me to getting invited onto the Costube Instagram, which means I'm now on this panel. So it really has affected my life hugely over the last decade, and like, long may it continue, frankly. Yeah. It's part of who I am, and I'm really pleased for that.
Cool. Well then, Melchior.
Well, for me, you could say it's a hobby, but I guess it's so much part of my life. It's almost a lifestyle, I guess, because especially now with the whole Corona stuff, basically we did something almost every weekend. It was pretty mental, but for me also, especially the stuff I do myself is really a form of an outlet for my creativity, because professionally speaking, I'm an engineer, and next to engineering, I studied to be an industrial designer. So because I always was interested in history and science and interesting stuff, and I wanted to apply that with a real job, and that's pretty hard. Well, long story short, I'm doing a very technical job, which lacks certain types of creativity, and all that creativity that still bundles up inside, and I need to let go. I put it into my costumes. For example, this is something I designed and made, and I use 3D computer-aided design software to make this. I made this on a computer, and I made a flat pattern of this, so it could be laser cut from cardboard. Yeah, this is a cardboard helmet.
So not fair. So not fair.
And after I got this, like, in the mail, because it was cardboard and flat, I could glue it all together and made a thing from it. And
He's a wizard.
thing besides me is also I'm like, oh, I wanna be a robot, and so I made a sort of robot costume, and I learned all kinds of stuff from that, and I was like, okay, I can do this better. So I'm currently in the process of building like a second robot that's better. So,
oh my god.
Okay, so we agree on Melchior cheating because he's an actual engineer and now he's engineering things for a costuming community. Okay.
Yeah, that's I basically do that. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Yeah, I already mentioned that I am a computer scientist, which has nothing to do with menswear, especially when I remember university. Computer science students are not the best dressed, to be honest. But it comes in quite handy when you're doing stuff on the internet, building a homepage, analyzing data from YouTube or Google or whatever. So I got that going for me, and hopefully at some point this whole YouTube internet thing is maybe more than a side hustle for me, but I guess that will take a lot of time because I have 2 kids and need to provide and so on. So I'm all in for the security. Okay, cool. So I guess we covered all the topics we thought about before. So I noted down a few questions from our audience, which is again, welcome to put any questions in the chat box so we can answer them live. So first question, which I find very interesting, I want to ask Matthew at first. How do you deal with the lack of resources when making menswear? And I'm thinking mostly of things like canvas, or because I think it's really difficult to get your hands on materials like this.
Yeah, I suppose, as I mentioned before, I source from all kinds of things. I'm not a stranger to like seeing a couch on the side of the road and going ooh, and pulling over and getting out a Stanley knife and going give it to me. So it does happen. I'm actually my CoCoVid video is going to be a kickoff. I made another full outfit out of couches from the sides of the road that's going to come out on, well, my Sunday, but your guys' Saturday. I'm not sure. I'm from the future, so I don't know. But yeah, so I find my materials wherever I can. My video after this is my partner made me drive 10 hours to pick up parts from an old car so he could fix his up, and that old car had some vinyl seats. So I got my hands on some 1959 vinyl, and I will be making a 1950s inspired jacket from that vinyl. So, like, just I seriously look everywhere. I've made stuff out of carpet. I've made stuff out of pillows. I've made stuff out of streamers and stockings. And you just, like, if you're a real true cheapskate / environmentally conscious person, wink, wink, not the first thing, the second thing, you will just, you can, sometimes you just look at something and go, oh, that should be something else. Oh. Like when I pulled over to the side of the road for this jacket, my partner was like, what are you doing? That couch is disgusting. It's like ripped up at the bottom. And I said, no, it's beautiful and it's gonna be mine. He had to sit there. I didn't even have a Stanley knife. I was cutting it with like, I can't remember what it was, like a butter knife, like trying to get this couch off. So I do say, like, if you're really, really enthusiastic about like authentic materials, yeah, buy stuff online. That's fine. Go get some wool things, I guess. But like, more exciting for me is seeing what I can make out of something else. Like,
yes,
give me like a random thing, like some wallpaper or some like unconventional stuff. That then I can trick you into thinking is conventional-ish stuff, you know. So, yeah. But if you want real materials, yeah, go to small, family-run clothes fabric stores and just mention what you're looking for. And oftentimes they'll be like, "Oh, I think I can find that. I needed some horsehair canvas for one of my lapels, and I just went to this store and I was like, hi. Do you know what this is? And they said, no, we don't, but we'll get some in. And they did. So, yeah, it was great. So yeah, I would say maybe steer clear from the big chain run fabric stores, just because like they might be cheaper, but they're not always going to be as well tailored to what you need. But stay away from fabric stores. Go to the op shop. Buy a blanket, cut it up.
Great tip. Do we have another butter knife savaging story lurking in the panel somewhere? Matthew.
Yeah, look.
I have a hoarding tendency with random crap. And yes, here, example.
Are you gonna send something to Matthew? Is this?
I call it cannibalizing, and this is some body armor I made, and these two pieces are actually the front of a water gun. And I was like, that looks interesting. And then I broke it, and I was like, hey, if I do this, it's like the start of an awesome chest piece.
Wow.
And like these bits are bits of plastic which I, from my previous job, I just like took out of the garbage cans because they threw out all kinds of stuff, like these things on the shoulder plates are like vacuum formed pieces, like blister packages for something. I have no idea what it was. I was like, "Ooh, that looks neat," and then I am like, "Oh, okay, then I can use that to put on something else," and then more random crap. You glue on stuff, and then you paint it, and then it looks interesting. So, and it has a very interesting name, and it's called Agreeablees. At least that's what the guys from ILM coined it. The guys who made Star Wars, because they basically did that with all the models for their spaceships, like
Right.
glue random crap on it, and then it looks interesting. So I do that too, and I have so much random crap laying around. I'm like, oh, I can make things of this. Ooh, and yes, that's kind of a problem. So, yeah.
I bet Alan has something similar to report, haven't you?
I do. We are random crab buddies, you and I.
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so what I do is I laser cut a lot of pieces out of EVA foam. It's an EVA foam helmet. So I laser cut a lot of pieces out. So when I cut out the EVA foam nuts and nut heads and stuff, that these cutout bits are all these bits up here. I use that as the screen to see out of. And then there's tubes. That's a pill bottle right there. That's a pill bottle. That's another one. So that's EVA foam. And then this was a plastic bullet belt from the dollar store that I thought would look nice up here. Drain screen over here on the side, a drain screen. These are welding goggles that, dollar store welding goggles. They're illegal to use now, but they look cool. So this is the kind of black hose that you wrap wires in coming out of the back of your computer. So that's that.
I'm so excited about this. This is like...
It's so cool. I want that room.
Oh my god.
So creative.
This mask is spray foam from a can.
What?
That I put over head form, and you sculpt it, you wet sculpt it. Never let a material stop you, a lack of material will stop you from making things. In the mask world, latex masks and silicone masks right now are king. But wooden Krampus masks are beautiful. This is the kind of foam. This is the Loctite foam that was this.
Wow.
Latex masks and silicone masks are kind of king. But the Krampus masks that are carved out of wood, the paper mache masks, leather masks, and all of those skills translate into all kinds of costuming.
Yeah.
As far as fantasy costuming goes, if you think 1700s tailor's clothes are hard, yes, maybe go to Viking. You think Viking clothes are hard? Make stuff for monsters. You get away with murder.
That's amazing.
It's also a whole series about making.
I hope about 30 masks that I've made recently. In my trade show booth, I bought new foam flooring. I used the old foam flooring to make horns for all those big horned monsters.
Yes.
Never let a lack of material stop you from making things. What do you do about a lack of material? Make it out of something else.
That's right. Oh, I'm so loving this.
So inspiring. Thanks.
Bang on. Spot on.
It's fun.
It's like I love that there's like this element of, again, people talk about sustainability and vintage, like this is such a talking point, right? But it's like in costuming, it's a real thing. Like it can be a real thing if you just harness the imagination, right? If you just go, listen, let's just do this, see what happens.
And there's also there's the joke that I'm going to buy these pants from the thrift store for $2, and no one will know they're $2. And as soon as someone says, "Hey, those are great pants," they were $2. Sometimes in costuming, it's like, "Oh, you look awesome." It's all garbage. You can make stuff out of garbage. You can patch up couches on the side of the road and look fabulous. That's a power. That's a real power. There's a power of creation. And it's very empowering to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's also good for your wallet.
I found a pair of cowboy boots outside on the street. I was in somebody's house after a party. I was hungover. Their neighbor put the cowboy boots out by the bin. I was like, they're going to be my boots. I saw them. They were horrible. Like, they were the nastiest. They were weird, like pink vinyl cowboy boots that had faded to pink. They were meant to be red. So I spray painted them. I covered them in like chains and bits of stuff that I'd been making for my model railway, because I make model railways because I'm a super nerd. And then somebody the next night, I went out. I was living down in England at the time. I went to a club, to a heavy metal night the next night, and someone was like, those boots are amazing. And I was like, found them in a bin.
The amount of memes and hashtags that have come out of this panel, like I'm already seeing like a full costume, and it's just like, it's all trash.
Garbage boys.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But also it's a real thing with vintage wear, because I often get asked, it must be so expensive to, and then you're like going through the things you thrifted somewhere,
right,
which is like $5, $3, $10. And
yeah,
it's not that expensive. You just need to put on the effort.
Yeah.
Time, research, creativity, of course, helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
love it.
So good. Okay, cool. I have another great question, which is, what is your what dream project you want to do at some point? Is it like it doesn't need to be costuming? Is it like a certain YouTube video? Yeah. Well, Dandy, maybe you want to start.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a good question.
Dream project. Here we go. Well, I
Spoiler
think I personally just love making sure. Okay, I'll start it this way. So I'm definitely a bit of a comic book nerd. And the great thing about comic books is sort of mirrored in like certain sitcoms and TV shows, when you just have characters showing up in other people's books, right? Where it's like that the world of the character that you're watching gets expanded and expanded by all the people that they are interacting with. And the same thing happens to me with Instagram and with YouTube, where you'll be following somebody and then all of a sudden somebody else that you're following shows up on their feed or in a photo with them, and you're like, what is this magic? These worlds are colliding. And so, I mean, I just want to do more and more and more collaborations with people. Like, I just think that just in the same way that whenever someone comes to New York, I want them to reach out to me. I want us to hang out, have a coffee, have some tea, have a drink, whatever it is, get a photo, go and like learn some history and go on a tour, all these things, right? And so that people can understand how connected we all are. There's so many of us from around the world who are into this. And there's an ability to, again, inspire the next generation or that person who feels alone, who is battling with whatever it might be, even beyond loneliness, bullying, all kinds of things like that, where they don't feel like they have a community. And the more of us that can connect in these different ways on these different platforms and can just show up in each other's videos for no reason, show up on each other's feeds for no reason. I think it expands the cinematic universe, the vintage cinematic universe that we've got going on. So I just want to keep doing that. I want to keep collaborating with people, and taking advantage of the time that we have. A lot of us were on a certain kind of a grind because of this, but pre-COVID, right? a certain grind. You have to do this. You have to show up here. You have to do it this way. And now all of a sudden, there's a moment to rethink and readjust. So why not?
Awesome. I hope our roads will at some point cross.
Yeah, of course.
That'd be cool. Be like
Shout
when
out to Abby
Corona's
Cox.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, Melchior, what's your next garbage project now?
Well, like I said, I'm working on a new robot. But like, it's something, a dream project. I think maybe making my own suit of armor, like fully from the ground up, like just sheet metal and being like a blacksmith, hammering like beautiful gothic German full plate. But that would be like insane in skill level and stuff. But yeah, something like that.
I'm sure it's great.
But that is well, maybe a bit out of my skill level at the moment.
You'll learn it.
It's a matter of time, I guess.
And also resources, because
Yeah.
you need like a shitload of specialty tools and the furnace and the whatever. So
I know some people.
Well, there you have it. Just a long vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, Alan, do you have a dream project right now?
I don't have dreams. I have plans. I'm going to do it. You know, it's a matter of time, and do I have the time to put the energy into that dream to make it a plan? I will eventually make myself a lovely Krampus costume and go do a Krampus walk in Austria. That looks so fun because there's fire, and the whole goal thing is to hit kids. It's awesome. They're just big, horned, angry monsters. Just bad kids. Fine. And I also want to. I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan because of the time I grew up. So, but I love the bad guys because I'm a monster freak. So I want to dress up in a Beastman costume and go to one of the He-Man conventions and rough up He-Man there. That'd be a lot of fun because I'd be a villain. And just do fun monster stuff. But where can you do the biggest monster stuff? And, find out where that is, and then I'll be there doing monster stuff.
Universal Studios?
I worked for them. I did that for a while. Yeah.
Wow.
I had a feeling. Back
when I was more Wolfman shaped.
Wolves come in different shapes.
They're not as popular in the round shape. Teddy bear when you wolf up at this point.
Oh my god, I love it.
Jimmy, what's your dream project? Maybe also something like medieval armor?
I mean, I would love a set of gothic armor. I love it. It's so good. It's like dripping with gold leaf and acid etch. I have so many dream projects. Like, I am a dreamer. I'm a big dreamer. Like, my far better half will tell you, like, whenever we go on a road trip, I'd be like, that kind of little cottage is the kind of little cottage I want to, like, turn into my little writing retreat in the mountains where I can just sit and do nothing for a week. And I'll tell her, like, I want to do up a house. Like, I want to have a herb garden. I want to make a movie. I want to put on a play again. I want to act in the Globe Theatre. Like, I have certain producers and makers and artists that I want to work with as like part of my dreams. Like I've got a list of dreams, and I might not do half of them, but it's just nice to have them. In terms of like, wow, it's raining. In terms of like doable, why am I surprised? I live in Scotland. In terms of like doable dream projects, I want to make a movie. I want to make a movie of something medieval, something like medieval, early medieval. But I want to make it in my native. I speak Welsh as my first language, so I want to make it in my native Welsh and set it in like King Arthur times in Britain, and have people speaking like old medieval Welsh and wearing completely accurate clothes, and film it in like the mountains and the lakes and the forests back where I live. And like that's a kind of dream project that I think I could do at some point. It'll take a lot, but it's just one of those things like I was saying right at the start, it's one of those things that like sets my heart on fire, is the idea of like bringing my culture, my kind of slightly forgotten language and culture out to a wider audience is something that I really, really want to do. So hopefully at some point I will gather the resources and sew enough tunics that I can actually do that.
Horror movie and you need a monster, let me know.
Horror movie would be amazing. Yes, I would like monsters to be involved in it. There should be monsters. It's got King Arthur. There will have to be monsters. Yes, I will need. Yes, please come. Be a wolfman.
And a lot of blood, of course.
A great deal of blood. So much blood. Far too much blood, arguably.
Matthew, what's your dream project, or at least the next couch you will salvage and make a takeout from it? I don't know.
Well, yes, obviously there's a fair few couch projects on the run. You can never have enough couches, so I go for that. But no, I suppose the project that I have been working towards for a long time, and I'm slowly figuring out how to piece it together properly, is I want to do like a genderless exploration of the 1800s, and my thought process is construction techniques and patterning techniques from masculine clothing with the embellishments and the silhouettes of the feminine clothing.
Yes.
And of course, it's all going to be made out of recycled garbage as well, because why not? So that's what I've been dreaming of for a while, and it's looking like it's going to come together very soon. Fingers crossed.
That's incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, so for everyone who's watching, subscribe to Matthew's channel to stay tuned on all the couch projects. Yeah, well, I have to admit, I put up a video 2 weeks ago where I tried to do some vintage lookbook, but really got into the filming part. I got a gimbal, I got a drone, and since I'm a computer scientist, I'm all into the tech gadgets. And now I want to do more of this, actually. So maybe at some point I can also do like a short movie. But this, of course, will require a lot of time and resources and so on. But if you need my help, Jimmy.
He's got the drones.
Do some sweet drone shots over the mountains. That'd be nice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like a dude riding on a horse with like his banner riding out. Oh, mate. Oh.
If you need an extra.
An extra in cardboard.
Just
Cardboard robot.
It's so good. I love it. I'm such a fan.
Melchior, you put a channel together already? I love this. Wow. Robot Melchior channel of just you, like.
Me being
so
a
I guess.
robot.
So I guess we ran out of questions. Do you have anything you would like to tell the world, maybe at least shout out your Instagram handles and so on, so everybody knows where to find you.
Well, for me, it's on Nikki's channel. Well, our channel, Liam. You can see it in my name, I think. There.
Yes.
And at Thewastedcoat on Instagram. That's my my hashtag name thing. Whatchamajigget. So.
I guess I also linked all of your YouTube channels in the video description, in case anybody's wondering. But again, Instagram, or if you want to announce some big project, I don't know, now's the right time. Dandy.
Yeah, so everything for me, social media wise, is Dandy Wellington. Just search, pick a platform and search for it. It's probably me. Hopefully. Yeah. So yeah, Dandy Wellington on the YouTubes and the Instagrams. I am going to be posting a video that I did for that was sort of commissioned by Dita Von Teese that is going to go up.
Wow.
That's going to go up on Sunday. So that's Finding Humanity in Vintage. So that'll be live on Sunday.
Cool. Alan.
Primarily YouTube. Of course, I have Stiltbeast Studios at YouTube. Oh, look, there it is. Stiltbeast Studios. Like a beast on stilts. I do a lot of stilt costumes. Where I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook and Instagram. Probably the most active on YouTube. Look me up, hang out, make stuff. Oh, and stiltbeaststudios.com. My wife just told me I should say that. That I make. Thanks, wife.
I love it. So good.
Cheers to the wife.
We're lost without our partners. I'm telling you that we're lost.
Yeah. Matthew?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so Matthew Chalmers on YouTube at Matthew with 1T _ CHA on Instagram, and you can friend me on Facebook, but I won't accept.
A man after my own heart. Well done. Well done. The less time spent on Facebook, sometimes the better.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I am the Welsh Viking.
The little Welsh Viking on Instagram, right?
I'm at Little Welsh Viking on Instagram, but you can find me by putting in the Welsh Viking here and on Instagram, and I think I've still got a Facebook group. So go and do that. And in terms of like announcing projects coming up, doing quarantine and I'm doing a PhD. I got no time.
What are you doing?
What
are you doing a PhD in?
So my PhD is on. I'm a death enthusiast. I'm death positive. #death positive. So my PhD thesis is on the use of Celtic languages in gravestones in Scotland and Wales. So Hami Gionsacha Gaelig and Siarad y Gymraeg. So I'm doing it in Welsh. So that's me for the next couple of years, apart from putting videos together, I guess.
Where's your podcast? What is going on with you guys?
Hides behind sword.
That's incredible.
I could start a podcast, I guess. I might. Do I have time to start a podcast? No, I don't. You're absolutely right. No, I don't have time to start a podcast. You like that? I'm sorry.
I love it.
Yeah. And when you're watching this video, you obviously have found my channel, and I'm all the same on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know. Well, thanks. I'm so glad. I'm so excited that I had the honor to host this panel. Thanks for coping with a non-native speaking host. I hope it wasn't too bad. I hope we can do this again at some point. Well, we do have each other's contacts, more or less. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being on the panel.
Yeah.
Thanks for Noel at this point for organizing CoCoVid. Thanks for all the work that went into this whole weekend. And, well, enjoy the rest of it. There are a lot of cool videos and panels and premieres to watch.
Yeah, I'll be live again tonight at 7:30 for a CoCoVid video.
Is that is PST or
what time zone?
3 hours from now. It's 4:30 to 7:30.
I'll be in bed. Because
I'll wait for the video.
Okay, so go to Stiltbeast Studios. Turn on the notification for the video in 3 hours. That's a lot of time to get a quick nap and then wake up the video.
That's right.
So thanks again, and see you soon.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was
My pleasure. My
very,
pleasure.
very fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.